Hartford Athletic fans enjoy more than $2 beers is 3 points, and they'll be going after just that as Jimmy Nielsen and Hartford Athletic welcome Stephen Glass and Atlanta United to Dillon Stadium right here in Hartford, Connecticut. Tonight's broadcast presented by Barberino Nissan, Tyler Terrence, along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. And this is a very interesting matchup, but Devin, it's been a very intriguing week in general because it is Supporters Week in the USL Championship, and Hartford Athletic sports some of the best supporters. 19th Regiment and company are excellent. They've showcased each and every club in really impressive manner, by the way. A couple individual ones to look at: Tampa Bay Rowdies, Phoenix Rising. Some really nice pieces done on super fans. And how about Lou City FC? They actually let their fans vote on what jerseys they were going to wear in their match today. Well, we focused a little bit of what's going on off the field. Let's focus on what's going on the field. And for Hartford Athletic, a little bit of new blood. Cody Cropper coming in. He replaces Frederick Dewey, who got traded to Orange County SC, who's had a whole host of goalkeeping issues this season. That's a massive pickup for the Western Conference team. Dewey was playing at a top-notch level, to be honest. Jimmy Nielsen appreciative of his efforts, but now he goes to the west side. Cody Cropper was the heir apparent for the men's national team, has not been able to get regular repetitions for the New England Revolution, hoping that could change with Hartford Athletic. And we focus on a keeper who is going to try to keep the ball out of the back of the net. These are two sides that struggle to do that defensively, and when you're talking about teams that have not performed particularly well, Devin, you can jump right at that on the defensive side of the ball. Hartford Athletic, it's pretty simple for them. It's suspension and injuries. They've had to rotate so many pieces on the back line and in their formation in general. Atlanta United, too, is trying to mimic what goes on with Atlanta United. As they change their philosophy, they have to follow suit. A lot of youngsters at play as well. Well, Atlanta United, too, have been solid over the past few weeks, rattling off a couple of wins. Meanwhile, for Hartford Athletic, desperately trying to get back to their winning ways, it's Hartford and ATL UTD2 when we come back. Almost ready for kickoff here at Dillon Stadium as we continue to roll through Supporters Week in the USL Championship. And with that said, a couple of supporters walking both sides out onto the field here in Hartford, Connecticut. And we'll take a look at the starting 11 for both sides. Let's start with the White Puma and Jimmy Nielsen. What are we looking at for Hartford Athletic, Dev? Just the three changes, and we already referenced Cody Cropper. He'll be in goal. How about Kyle Karinga going to the left back position? Remember that they've had a couple of issues with injuries and suspensions recently. Raymond Lee will be out because of that. Alex Davies still dealing with his suspension. But how about Jorgensen back in the midfield after his red card versus Nashville? That's a nice pickup for them. Of course, Alex Dixon leading the line up top. The visitors, Atlanta United 2, Stephen Glass, what do they look like? They've got a multitude of changes. Let's start with the man who's starting to get repetitions for Frank de Boer's squad, Brandon Vasquez. He's still making his way back from injury, hoping to crack into that 18 soon.
Kevin Kratz in the middle of the midfield next to Will Riley. Really like Riley, what he's been able to do. Guy who has repetitions for the U17 national team. And of course the academy player, Garrison Tubbs, next to Tyler Ruthven, George Bello. Bello, another one that's trying to get back to Atlanta United, has really struggled with his performances since injury.
Starting lineups presented to you by Premier Limousine as we are just about set to get this underway from New England, as Hartford Athletic, who have been woeful over the past few weeks, they were able to get a little bit of momentum back after a 5-1 win over Puerto Rico in a bye week, just trying to get some guys some minutes and really just pump some goals in the back of the net. Meanwhile, for Atlanta United 2, they were drubbed by Louisville City FC a couple weeks ago, but they were able to get a 2-1 win over the Swope Park Rangers, in addition to a 4-2 win over Loudoun United. That's their past 3 results. So starting to come together a little bit for Stephen Glass's side that is young, always rotating, and always unpredictable. Hartford Athletic will be in their all-green kits, as Atlanta United 2 are going to be in their all-whites with the orange accents. And away we go from Dillon Stadium here at Supporters Week in the USL Championship. Tyler Terrence, along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr, should have a terrific 90 minutes ahead of us. Hartford's last true competition was against New York Rebels 2, a 5-1 loss after going down to 9 men right at the beginning of the second half. Alex Davey getting sent off in what was a very controversial red card, to say the least. And then Raymond Lee, after the fact, made contact with the official Elton Garcia on the day. And then Hartford Athletic, who were up 1-0 at the time, would concede 5 unanswered goals. Logan Gadullo go all the way back for Cropper. White trying to bring it down. And the foul called against Hartford Athletic. Now let's take a look at the injury report presented by Trentolo and Trentolo. Tyler David, Philip Rasmussen, as well as Max Steves still unavailable for Jimmy Nielsen, and a clean bill of health for Stephen Glass.
How nice for Hartford Athletic that they're no longer seeing Giuseppe Gentile's name on there, finally making his way back from concussion protocol. Still hasn't made it into the starting lineup, but back in the 18 again.
Jimmy Nielsen obviously would have loved to see the game against New York Rebels 2 finish 11v11 and continue in that manner, because Hartford Athletic were really making the side managed by John Wolenek look rather out of sorts and disorganized for the majority of the 55 minutes or so that it was 11v11, but the game finished 11v9, and if you give New York Rebels 2 that much time and space on the ball, they're always going to punish you, as Matt Jorgensen comes away with it. He scored a goal in that 5-1 win over Puerto Rico last week. A little bit too far ahead of Harry Swartz and Brendan Moore off of his line.
You and I had the opportunity to witness that Hartford Athletic New York Red Bull 2 game firsthand, and that was the most impressive 45 minutes we've seen out of Hartford Athletic all season long. Truly disappointing that things played out that way due to the referee's decision. Sometimes that's the way it goes, and you got to get back to the task at hand. Hartford Athletic, though it is not necessarily probable, it is possible for them to remain in the playoff race. Atlanta United 2 having the same argument. Both of these clubs showing you over the course of the season that they can kind of go toe-to-toe with the best of them, but also falter off, and you get squirmish in their actions.
Harry Swartz with a really high foot there. He's going to get called for the foul. Head referee Laurent Varga quick to blow his whistle. Will Riley took a bit of a knock.
Of course, Harry Swartz isn't trying to put a boot right at his face. He's trying to get to it quickly. Great second step by Will Riley to close down the space and get out in front of it. Lost his tracker as well, trying to fix things in that area. Might just leave it on the ground and let him figure out exactly how much ground I've covered.
Seven to fit, ends up winning the header. Here's Brendan Vasquez. Andrew Carlton on the first time, but easy enough for Cropper. Cropper with great distribution going the other way. Too direct for Harry Swartz. Early ball whipped in. Lawrence Wyke is there. Alex Dixon now. It'll settle it down for Hartford Athletic. For that 5-1 loss against New York Rebels 2, 4-0 loss against Nashville, a 3-0 win against Bethlehem. And Devin, for me, what was a real dagger in this season for Hartford Athletic, as the foul's going to go against the home side, was that 3-2 loss at home against the Charleston Battery, a game in which they were down 1-0, then they came back, they were leading 2-1. Mads Jorgensen started to lead the comeback a little bit with that terrific strike from about 35 yards out in the run of play, and then Charleston, in a matter of 5 minutes, scored 2 goals. And that was a game in which Hartford had won. They were still very much within the playoff conversation. If they had won that and gone on to then maybe take points against Bethlehem, maybe if the red card doesn't happen against Nashville, you could be looking at a totally different situation for Jimmy Nielsen's group.
There's the red card against Red Bull 2 as well, and just so many moving parts that you have to deal with on a regular basis in general, yet alone with suspensions, players going on loan, players being distributed to other clubs across the league. Make the same case for Elliot Hort, who's coming in right back. We'll talk about that in a second, on loan from Sacramento Republic. But it is a team that Jimmy Nielsen said, look, everybody's in really good spirits, and we believe in this club going forward. How could you not with some of the glimpses they've shown you this year? It's been much better than some of the other clubs, to be honest, that are sitting above them. Teams like St. Louis FC, and with all due respect, even teams like Birmingham, they've gone through, I mean, they were pretty much abysmal for the beginning of the season. Now they're starting to string together performances, not necessarily pretty, though. Hartford Athletic is doing the exact opposite. They're kind of on the short end of the stick, but they're putting together some really nice play, and that's got to give you proper hope going forward.
And Hartford Athletic would like to extend a special thank you to our title partners, Trinity Health of New England. Al Karing on the restart for Hartford Athletic. On the feet of Sebastian Dalgard.
Let's go, Logan. Dula! See it out.
Look at Stephen Glass in charge of Atlanta United 2. We mentioned how they've been able to string together a couple of wins over the past few weeks and had some chances against Louisville City FC. They were down 2-0. Jackson Conway able to bring one back. And then he had a almost identical situation to the goal in which he scored about 90 seconds after he did put one in the back of the net, rocked the crossbar. That would have made it 2-2. And then they just completely unraveled from there. An Iowa Cape free kick from about 30 yards out, and then the rest was history. As Cropper sent one off of his defender's head in Sem David. And Mads Jorgensen now for the center back. Jorgensen along for Alex Dixon, but a good play from Lawrence Wyke.
Another one of those teams around the USL Championship that kind of turn your head and go, what if? What could have been for this squad, and so much talent on both of these teams. That does separate the men from the boys at certain points in time, no pun intended, with all the youngsters on Atlanta United 2. I promise you this, though not necessarily on the mathematical side eliminated from the playoffs, they are still playing for everything. Not one single person stepping onto this pitch is going to think otherwise. You want to showcase yourself for, obviously, that crest that you're wearing on your shirt first and foremost, the boys around you, your manager, the organization, the city, and beyond. A lot of these guys, this can turn into an audition for next season, where you're going to end up.
Dalgard able to win it back in a dangerous area. Not sure if that was a shot or a pass, but either way, it just rolls harmlessly into the hands of Brendan Moore. Sebastian Dalgard has been one of those extremely bright spots for Jimmy Nielsen. He just seems to bring it week in and week out. will claim it. Kevin Kratz gets a knock in the back from Ryan Williams. 10 minutes gone here at Dillon Stadium. No real chances for either side yet. Andrew Carlton, promising youngster who's got a decent amount of time with Frank DeBoer and Atlanta United. Dalgard with the pressure. Jack Metcalf will go all the way back for more.
With all of these pieces that Stephen Glass has, he does have the versatility of attacking spaces, very similar to what goes on with Atlanta United. And Frank DeBoer came in this year, said that he wanted to play in a 3-back system. They kind of faltered out of that, to be honest. Went into a 4, and they've teetered a little bit here and there, but recently going back into the 3, and you'll see the same thing from ATO UTD2. And especially when you have George Bello on the left-hand side, you can sit him in marking back, but more importantly, overload the middle and just tuck Luis Fernando in alongside Andrew Carlton, really create a box in the middle of the field to try and push more numbers forward. That's exactly what you're seeing play out in front of your eyes.
Sliding challenge over on the far side from Mats Jorgensen, and a corner kick coming up for the visitors. How impressive has young Dane been? Seems like every single one of his goals is a contender for USL Championship Goal of the Week. And these guys have been a contender for Supporters of the Year, the 19th Regiment.
And another beautiful one in their exhibition match against Puerto Rican national team. Beautiful strike from distance once again. He and Dalgard seem to hit other worldly balls.
Long range effort, blocked in front. Dixon claiming it was a handball, will play on. Long ball intended the other way is cut out by Will Riley. Ball threaded through, good chance here for Atlanta United too, but it skips all the way through. And it was a little bit behind Brandon Vasquez. Touches right back into space. Alex Dixon cushions it down. Harry Swartz couldn't quite get there. Cleaned up by Ryan Williams, but it'll be off of him last.
Really nice touch by Luis Fernando to make sure this doesn't come back the other direction when he tracks his way back in. On the reverse side of things, Brandon Vasquez still trying to find his form up top. Felt like there was going to be a back post shout from Jack Metcalf when the ball played across the box. Fortunately, he had tucked himself inside just underneath when Andrew Carlton went to the opposite end of the field. That's one of the things you run into with this squad is it's about all the talent, and especially at the young age. Harry Swartz going to have a talking to here. But when you're rotating so many pieces in general, and then the fact that the experience isn't always there within a certain style of system, you start second guessing yourself and you don't exactly know where your next step is supposed to be. That's a really accurate representation. Fernando coming inside, the overlapping run, ball getting played to the near post, and Jack Metcalf, who hadn't done anything wrong and actually come all the way to the interior. You don't have that back post presence when the ball is sprayed across the 6, as opposed to when you've rotated 3, 4, 5 guys into the attack going forward.
Danny Barrera pressuring. In for Andrew Carlton. Closed down quickly by Kyle Karinga.
Well done by Ryan Williams just to hold tempo there in the middle of the field. That's what he needs out of his midfielder, Jimmy Nielsen. The two guys you'll notice are a bit more defensive minded. Jorgensen and Ryan Williams. Takes them more time to get up high on the pitch. That's why they want to try and explode down into the channels with Dalgard and Swartz on the right. And of course, long balls by Alex Dixon to stretch the play up top. He can play next to Danny Barrera. Barrera will drop down underneath as well. And they'll create this pretty little block on the defensive side of things. And if you want Jorgensen and Williams to play a higher line, Just takes that bit of an extra effort to get up high. Not the worst thing in the world, just the system they play in.
On ball the other way, Vasquez bringing it down. Flag stays down. Vasquez just trying to bully his way through, somehow staying on his feet. Plenty of contact. Lauren Varga wasn't sure what to make of it. Elects not to blow the whistle, and now it's Sebastian Delgard going the other way. He takes a knock, and a foul called against Lawrence White.
This is really well done by the referee. He lets the boys play on. You can see on the backside of things that Logan Gadula and Luis Fernando had taken matters into their own hands. Understood that there was a challenge there. Referee lets the ball be played out of the back. Yeah, there's a secondary challenge on the outside of things, but look at him doing battle. Vasquez on the backside of things as they both get up here, recognizes that, yeah, there was possibly a foul, but the referee doing a good job of just allowing them to play forth. We have to explain to the boys that you can't be picking up balls from the technical area. We're not at Lucas Oil. It's very well lined. You can see it pretty well.
Hopefully no members of the Brickyard Battalion are watching this broadcast, or else Devin's mentions on Twitter are going to be blowing up.
Just another day in life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nothing new for you.
Line them up. Let's go.
Especially given your hot take on Phoenix, which obviously did not come to fruition. Kelsey Steele with a great response on social media afterwards.
I give her even more credit because she came out and blatantly said, I'm not interested in Bud Light whatsoever. She was more of a Mig Ultra type girl, but hey, she backed herself up.
Good ball in, won by Logan Gadula, and helped along by Sebastian Dalgard.
Keep an eye on the two boys in the middle for Atlanta United 2. You're already seeing Will Riley starting to
long range effort, and it just skips wide.
Press a bit higher. There's the space that we talked about where you'll start to see some of the back line, more specifically George Bello on the left, creep up a little bit higher. Will Riley had come and collected that. Quick little ball into Kratz, and then they spring it going forward. That's the overload in the middle we talked about. There's Kratz finding George Bello, who had come all the way on the inside. Just a quick little ball back across his body, trying to go for that upper corner.
Hartford Athletic would like to recognize the Hartford and all of its founding partners for the 2019 season. Alex Dixon back to retrieve it. Guy who spent the probably first third of the season with just every type of injury that you could possibly imagine, but somehow managed to play through almost all of it. Long direct ball the other way. Lawrence White did really well to head it back for Brendan Moore. Vasquez working on Semdevic. Good matchup here. And Semdevic gets the better of him. Semdevic was going for the high five there, and Brandon Vasquez wasn't really interested in it after the fact. I will say this, Devin, the bottom of the playoff scenario in the Eastern Conference, teams 10, 11, 12, nobody really is claiming that spot. I mean, between St. Louis and Charlotte and Birmingham, nobody is really staking a claim and saying, we're going to get in, you guys need to chase us.
You and I have had the discussion multiple times about who will or will not end up in that 10th spot. I still think the Charleston Battery are not going to be in this year. The way that they're playing, I haven't been that impressed, and I have the utmost respect for Mike Anhauser and his squad, but much like Jimmy Nielsen is, how many injuries and suspensions that they had to deal with as well. They're going to be on the road at Nashville, and you're going to run into a situation where if you lose tonight, you've only gotten points in 2 out of the last 5 matches. You've had 3 losses, by the way. So winning a draw in that stretch where teams around you like Ottawa, Louisville, you talked about Birmingham, 4 out of the last 5 with 1 draw, 4 wins sprinkled in there. So other teams are starting to streak a little bit here, but nobody else, to be honest, below the 10 is really making any case for that. There was a time where Hartford Athletic, about 4 matches ago, when you looked at the teams below the playoff line, they had acquired the most points over the previous 10 matches. They've cooled off a bit now as well. So is anybody willing to take this opportunity put in front of them, especially for teams like Hartford and Atlanta United too, who don't necessarily have the most ridiculous upcoming schedule. Some of them do, some of them don't. But you and I were discussing ATL UTD2 and how they have a real good opportunity to gain some points in the next couple weeks.
Well, that is the trick with the teams that are hovering around the playoff cutoff line, is that they're usually teams that don't exactly feature consistency, and that's the reason why they're at that part of the table, and that's why it's always fun come playoff time.
We can also have that conversation about St. Louis and how you and I were just talking about that too. One win in their last 15 matches, which is combined with Open Cup. You throw Open Cup in there, what, add an extra 6? 5 or 6 matches they ran through? And that gives you an idea of everything they've had to endure, and still somehow, based upon their amazing start, they are right there. But for them, they no longer have the ability to step back. Another loss today. They go 2-1 down to the Ottawa Fury. They are now in 11th on the outside looking in.
Carl Howarth and Haji Berry recording his first goal since heading over to Ottawa Fury FC under the tutelage of Nikola Popovic, a relationship that Nikola was trying to foster for the past couple of years. Wanted to actually get him at Ottawa last year. Coringa couldn't quite get there. Good pressure from Brandon Vasquez. Look at the possession, as Atlanta United 2 have certainly had the lion's share of that, but whether it's purposeful or not, still up for debate. Dalgard going for goal. Wasn't a bad effort, certainly hit with a lot of venom.
The Great Dane from distance once again. Look at the rotation on the ball, barely any. Kids at home want to know what it's like to strike a ball pure. Keep an eye on his form, knee right over the top, momentum always leaning forward. Never truly allowing it to escape his grasp on what he's trying to do on the attacking side of things.
And what a stunner he had to open things up against New York Red Bulls too. A lead that would quickly dissipate after the 2 red cards issued to Alex Davey and Raymond Lee, but still an outstanding goal in its own right. Back for more. Pressure again from Hartford, who are drawing that line in the sand. That line of confrontation extremely high up the field as Elliot Hort able to win it back for Hartford Athletic. Coming over from Sacramento Republic, who actually fell to Phoenix Rising FC last night by a score of 2-1. 2 goals in the first 7 minutes of play between those two sides. Then it was Joey Farrell with the game-winning goal to give Phoenix Rising FC their 15th straight win. And just the 3rd time in club history that they've taken down Sacramento Republic. And Phoenix Rising FC in the modern era of soccer in the United States with the longest consecutive winning streak in history. They tied Los Angeles Galaxy from back in the late 90s, but that was when Major League Soccer was still featuring shootouts where you would dribble from the 30-yard line and
the good old
try
days.
to beat the keeper. I mean,
oh,
who do we got to talk to bring that back?
I need that in my life for sure. On turf,
yeah.
with boards.
At every football stadium this country has to offer.
That's right. That was so much fun. And about Elliot Hort, a guy who has really moved himself down the depth chart at Sacramento Republic. Now getting a chance with Hartford Athletic, coming on loan at the right back position. He featured 61 times over 3 seasons, not including 2019. So it shows you that double-digit numbers basically every single year for that team. And you know, when you have guys like Shannon Gomez, Jordan McCrary starting to find their way into the starting 11, it's really hard to crack that up. And as we mentioned, much like Cody Cropper getting the chance coming on loan from New England Revolution, Elliot Hort has an opportunity to really go out and do something for himself. And Never know what 2020 could bring.
And here comes Hartford Athletic, showing a bit of teeth here. And Danny Pereira couldn't quite get there. Still with the home side. Along for Sebastian Dalgard. Dalgard going for the curler. Great save from Brendan Moore. An outstretched paw denies the first true chance of the game for either side. And now a free kick for Hartford Athletic as well. 25th minute, and Hartford are knocking on the door.
2 mistakes back-to-back here by Atlanta United too. Keep an eye on the goalkeeper, and Brendan Moore gives this up right down the middle. Hartford Athletic have to be sending numbers to crash this party and get themselves out in front. Alex Dixon just laying and waiting, and then Luis Fernando, to be honest, an even worse mistake, about 30 yards out from goal with all the talent we've seen from Hartford Athletic in dead ball situations. And I promise you, Stephen Glass has showed his voice as well. This is the last place you want to give up a foul.
We've seen Mads Jorgensen do it from the dead ball. We've seen it in the run of play. Do not put this past the 20-year-old. Only one thought on his mind. He does go for goal, and it's straight at Brendan Moore. He spills it in front, and it's going to be a penalty. Well, just moments after failing to crash the rebound that Brendan Moore spilled, Alex Dixon following this one up and able to create a chance for Hartford Athletic, and now they'll have a chance from the penalty spot.
This is always an interesting decision for the referee. Let's go to the free kick first. Beautiful from distance. And as a goalkeeper, you got to punch this ball away. If you cannot collect this with both hands, it has to be taken away from the danger area. Brendan Moore pushes it right in front of Dalgard, Dixon as well, and tracking back across. Just clips his heels, moving away from him. Yes, I understand it's going away from a more dangerous area, but still a goal-scoring opportunity that gets pushed to the side. And now who does Jimmy Nielsen give the chance to? That'll be Ryan Williams. Just inside 30 minutes. 2 back-to-back opportunities for Hartford Athletic. Will be lucky number 3 to put him out in front.
Ryan Williams buries it. Hartford lead 1-0 in the 27th.
I promise you, looking at this team, you would never know all of the struggles that they've been through. You can see what it means to them, the emotion, all of the belief from everybody that's got a jersey on and further. Ryan Williams, an opportunity to put his squad out in front. Poor decision by the goalkeeper, and the entire way he has his mind made up. Watch him close his hips at the tail end of this thing. Doesn't lean back very much. Gets enough height on it, but plenty of pace. Goalkeeper off his line early anyway. Always going to end up in the back of the net.
Hartford goal. Scored by number 14, Ryan Williams.
So Ryan Williams gets his first goal for Hartford Athletic.
It's number 14.
And Jimmy Nielsen's group gets rewarded for about a 5-minute stretch in which they were really flexing their muscles on Atlanta United 2. Ryan Williams, very much a veteran from Birkenhead, England. Played some lower level football in England. That was actually part of the English 2010 Four Nations futsal tournament. Very skillful central midfielder that Jimmy Nielsen brought in and really has done well when given the opportunity, as Jorgensen goes down, but no call. Entry pass in for Kratz, and he gives it up and he goes straight down. And Lauren Varga, with both Jorgensen and Kratz prone on the floor here at Dillon Stadium, is going to bring the game to a halt.
The first one goes all the way back to Garrison Tubbs. When Jorgensen coming out of the middle, felt like he could just stretch out a bit and get a foot on it. Ends up getting himself in trouble right up over the top there. See the trailing leg. No harm, no foul. And good tackle by the center back coming out. And then how about going out the other way? It's right in the middle, and we're going to blow the whistle. A friendly little drop kick. put it back and say thank you very much.
Danny Barrera, always skillful in tight areas. Knocks it over the top for Sebastian Dalgard. Much more like it for Hartford Athletic again. Great dummy. Alex Dixon lays it off, and Matt Jorgensen couldn't get there. Atlanta United 2 read it well in the end. And now here they come on the other end. Good play from Elliot Horde. And the 19th Regiment really starting to bounce now. Ringer gets stripped by Brandon Vasquez. Jimmy Nielsen pointing in the direction of Hartford. And he'll get his wish.
You gotta wonder which one's better here. Is it the ball back across the dummy or the actual ball played by Alex Dixon? Dalgard on the right foot, not known for it. Really well done by Swartz to leave it. And then the proper little flick on to the back post by Alex Dixon. All the way back through.
Barrera. Elliot Horde circling back around. Good ball whipped in. Dixon looking for it. Pops back out. Dalgard on the first time. He gets stuffed, and it's going to come out the other way. And a really rough injury again for Atlanta United 2, and immediately the referee's going to bring it to a halt. Tyler Ruthven.
Just coming all the way back across here. Doing battle. There's Alex Dixon. Head comes out, and that's his goalkeeper, Brendan Moore, doing the right thing, trying to punch the ball off the line. And sometimes as a center back, you run that risk. It's like a wide receiver coming back across the middle. Always the possibility of that impact going to be made. He's saying thank you very much to his goalkeeper.
He looked at Brendan Moore. He goes, was that you? Get a first look at our Cigna Save Tracker and part of the new philanthropic campaign from Hartford Athletic. Every save matters. Cigna will donate $75 for every Hartford Athletic save for the entirety of the 2019 season, including the 87 saves that were made prior to the launch. So far, Cigna committed over $6,500. Proceeds will benefit Team Impact, which is a national nonprofit that connects children facing serious and chronic illness with athletic teams, forming lifelong bonds and life-changing outcomes. Cigna, of course, a founding partner of Hartford Athletic. Terrific initiative from both Cigna and Hartford, as Ruthven appears to be all right. And fans, Hartford Athletics' next home match is Saturday, September 7th at 4 p.m. This will be a charity match for gender equality and women's empowerment presented by Stanley Black & Decker. Single game tickets start at just $16. Get your tickets today at hartfordathletic.com. Call the Hartford Athletic ticket office or email tickets at hartfordathletic.com for more info. There's a look at the White Puma. And Devin, I mean, talking to Jimmy Nielsen, it's really a treat not only to dive deep inside his footballing mind, but just the way that he approaches life in general. This has not been an easy season for Hartford in their inaugural campaign, but the way that he approaches it brings a smile to training every single day and just has the utmost amount of faith and says, listen, there's always something to play for when you pull on the kid. And it's just a lesson that everybody can take away in the way that he's approached this year, even though the ball really has not bounced their way.
Kind of goes back to, you saw the celebration after the goal. Everybody understood that it's still another opportunity, whether it be playoffs or move up the standings, fix the goal differential, get a new contract, get into the starting 11. I mean, there are so many chances for everybody on the field right now and within the team in general to continue to get better and better week in and week out. The manager as well. I mean, they have set themselves up with a beautiful organization in this community. Stadium is quite nice as well, and as you mentioned, you talked about things outside of soccer, doing stuff for humanitarian purposes.
Kyle Karinga steps up, good ball at the edge of the area. Here's Barrera going for goal, but it was always difficult hooking it back in.
There's an eye test with them as well, that you can see it's much better than what the standings show. And this is kind of one of it where you've got that long ball down into the channel, everybody chases, and you've got Danny Barrera, who just kind of tucks himself in right at the top of the 18, one little quick touch, and then immediately go in the other direction to go after the goalkeeper. It's impressive rotation from Hartford Athletic, and unfortunately, they just haven't been able to replicate it on a regular basis.
Vasquez, good hold-up play. Here comes Luis Fernando. He switched over to the right flank. Also try to get on that left peg. Kratz. Good ball out wide for George Bello. Aaron pass, though, to the feet of Jorgensen. Bello putting the pressure on. It's going to be a foul right at the edge of the area. Andrew Carlton and company are not happy that advantage was not played. George Bello draws the foul. Now a dangerous set piece coming up for the visitors.
You're going to get a much better look as to whether or not advantage should have been played here. I'll tell you what, there's the touch out in front, and this looks like Elliot Hort gets the ball. It's really difficult to tell, but when the deflection comes off, George Bello playing a high line once again, rotating out of the back four and pushing himself into the midfield. Much like you see on College Game Day, there's a Jimmy Nielsen face in the crowd.
Oh, the fathead is just...
Or the pizza, either one.
Pizza just doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes perfect sense, and you and I both know that.
It makes sense because it doesn't make sense. Free kick straight into the wall, came off the head of Danny Barrera. Some nasty spin on it. Still a chance here. Lawrence Wyka swinging a miss. And it's Karinga who hits the deck now. And after the ball had gone, he just sort of dropped to the deck.
And bodies just falling left and right now for both of these teams. There's Wyke. Slippery slope, and immediately you see him reach to the backside of that right leg of his, but up and moving now. Good to see.
Williams trying to prevent the corner, able to do just that. Carlton gets stripped by Dalgard. And last touch coming off of the youngster. Looks like there's a chicken pot pie on one of those drums.
Just learned recently that, and apparently this was common knowledge, I didn't know, but in a chicken pot pie, in a perfect world, you actually flip it upside down and then eat from there. That's the proper method.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's a very well-known thing. Just learned about it about 2 weeks ago.
Stick to soccer.
Fortunately, as my vegetarian household knows, I'll probably never have any chicken pot pie.
Ball whipped in. Header away, but only as far as George Bello.
As much as he's pushing forward, they have to find a way to either A, get him more involved on that left flank, or B, utilize the pinch in of Fernando when he does get that high. Fernando goes up next to Andrew Carlton, and got to start rotating Vasquez to the near side, like Carlton or Fernando going behind him, or vice versa on the right side. Jack Metcalf always sitting a bit deeper to help out defensively. But you can just see right there, just again, as he comes back up, where's the check to help him out right now?
Here it comes from Vasquez, positive first touch. Gets it to the byline, sends it across, and the save made by Cody Cropper. The first in a Hartford Athletic kit for him.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Brandon Vasquez just coming to help out. Should be a secondary one. Near the touchline to come back for Jack Metcalf. That would allow Vasquez to be the aerial threat in the box. Still don't mind it, though. Again, they're looking for some confidence for the youngster up top, who had really done well to get repetitions alongside or just behind Joseph Martinez in the starting 11 for Atlanta United.
Jorgensen. Ball sent all the way across, but easy enough for Cropper. Danny Barrera, who's been a solid midseason addition. Trying to curl one in for Alex Dixon. Long way to go, though, and solid defensive play from Tyler Ruthven, the 31-year-old from Alpharetta, Georgia.
It's not a bad idea, but as soon as that long ball goes, you have to ask either Ryan Williams or Jorgensen to step up into that space. Danny Barrera coming all the way to the near touchline and trying to find Alex Dixon. It's a really good look, but unfortunately it leaves a massive gap in the middle of the field.
A little fun fact about Tyler Ruthven, the son of former Major League Baseball pitcher Dick Ruthven, who played for the Braves, Phillies, and Chicago Cubs. Here from Hartford. I think both teams, Devin, probably comfortable with the way that the scoreline sits at the moment. I mean, you would obviously think Atlanta United 2 would like to get an equalizer, but want to try to limit the damage as well and maybe open things up a bit more at the start of the second half.
They're just struggling with prolonged possession, to be honest. And more importantly, what can you do with it when you do retain the ball? You're starting to see some decent play coming out of the back. But again, it's those singular balls down into the channels, which I don't mind to keep Hartford Athletic honest. But this team is at its best when all of their attacking players are on the ball. You find a way to play in out of the tight spaces. You saw it earlier. Really like the build-up out of Kevin Kratz, Will Riley, Fernando, and George Bello on that left side, right around the 20-minute mark. And that's what they need more of. You can see Andrew Carlton starting to come back and ask for it a bit more. Luis Fernando has pretty much moved himself into the interior as Bello has come very high. And this was one of the looks that you will see out of Stephen Glass's squad. We said it before, they are so versatile in their ability with the pieces on the field to rotate side to side, and that's exactly what's going on now. White has gone into the right back position. Ruthven just sitting in the middle, and Garrison Tubbs to the left.
Here comes Carlton around the first defender. Andrew Carlton denied by a sprawling Cody Cropper. Carlton just waltzed down Broadway, and Cropper got enough of the shot from Carlton, which really did not have that much pace behind it, but it looked like it was arrowed for the bottom left-hand corner.
You never know if this kid's quicker with the ball or without, but really well done running directly at the back line, going to his right, bringing it back across his left. What a good look that is. Well done by Cody Cropper to reset himself and go all the way back to his right shoulder.
Second save of the night for Cropper, and able to pick this one out of the air. He's fitting in nicely.
The issue they're going to run into is ATO UTD2 starting to find those spots that they're really enjoying. It's only been about 2 minutes or so. But again, that's where they're at their best. And as all of this rotation starts to happen, there's going to be a lot of question marks on the back line from Elliot Horde, who's brand new. Of course, Gadula Sumdavid and Kyle Karinga on the left-hand side. Karinga usually on the right, now moving to the left. We saw him there during that double red 9-man finish against Red Bull 2. And can you just find a way to make sure that you're all in constant connection with each other? That's where the difficulty will lie.
In your opinion, what is the biggest piece on the field that Hartford is missing to take the next step?
They need an out-and-out number 10. They also need a number 9, and here's why. Alex Dixon is a phenomenal goal scorer. He is not a number 9 player. He needs to have the ability to be outside, can cut in and go after people. Danny Barrera is great, but Danny Barrera is more so, I'd like to see him play in an 8, where he can have a bit of defensive responsibility, but more importantly, get involved in the attack going forward. He can provide that link between a guy like Ryan Williams or Jorgensen who can sit in the 6, and yeah, maybe he gets forward on set pieces or from time to time, but if you have one big focal point up top who can run at a back line, and then a real creative midfielder in the middle whose only job is to provide a link to your outside mids and to your number 9 up top, that is where they're missing the most success.
And one thing should be said about the comment that you just made, especially with regard to the 10. That is probably the most difficult position to find in the USL Championship.
You can make that argument for a lot of leagues, to be honest. And even when you do get it, take a look at teams like El Paso Locomotive. They went out and got arguably one of the best.
Here comes Brandon Vasquez on the other end. 1v1 with Sem David. Vasquez cutting in, but straight at Cropper.
And their attacking midfielder they picked up was Sebastian Velasquez. And with the injuries that they've dealt with and the formation switch and everything that's going on, they're trying to find a way to bridge the gap on that system. Brandon Vasquez trying to get on that left foot of his, but again, more notably on the right side, and you can just see the way that they're pinching a little bit here, starting to come more on this right side even more. They need to find a way to have a balance. Watch out.
Mistake here, and Brendan Moore able to at least clean it up for the moment for ATL UTD2. We're now trying to play out of pressure, and they do so beautifully. Look at that. Kevin Kratz couldn't quite connect it. Slows things down just for a little bit. 2 minutes indicated on the board. And the referee elects not to call a foul there. Logan Gadula finding Harry Swartz. In all fairness to Lauren Varga, he's done a great job tonight, but that was probably the clearest decision that he's missed all night.
He motioned to the sideline that he got the ball, but there's a massive conversation, not only from Stephen Glass, but it's Henry Apalou, his assistant, talking to the fourth official. You could hear it from here, it just got whacked.
Hey, tell me half time when it's a waste of time. The free kick we're putting in the box. You've not got me because you don't say nothing when it happens. You can stop the game just when you've got it. You don't.
Fernando into the path of Kratz. Good defensive prowess from Logan Gadula. Here's George Bello. Clipping one in, back post, and it's off the post. Fernando now trying to get it on his left foot. Forced to poke it out wide. Jack Metcalf picked that cleanly out of the air. I don't know if he could have hit it any more sweetly. Technique was spot on, but rocks the post.
Catches this on its instep. Ball is hit pretty pure, to be honest, going all the way to the far post. And then just right off the woodwork, that's a sigh of relief for Cody Cropper and Hartford Athletic just before halftime.
That's going to do it for the first half. Hartford Athletic with a 1-0 lead thanks to a penalty from Ryan Williams that was drawn by Alex Dixon. That was set up by Mats Jorgensen. Cody Cropper keeping a clean sheet in the first 45 minutes in his debut for Hartford Athletic. Ryan Williams, his first goal for the boys in green. Devin Kerr, your thoughts on the first half?
Some quality energy coming out of the dressing room for Hartford Athletic. They go out and get the early goal and then just kind of maintain, but keep an eye at the start of the second half. There's going to be a lot of momentum for Atlanta United too. Weren't able to find the back of the net, but they started to really break down the seams on the offensive side of things.
Halftime here at Dillon Stadium. Grab a snack, grab a beverage, whatever tickles your fancy. We'll be back in a moment. Slight advantage for Jimmy Nielsen and company as Ryan Williams gave them the lead right around the 27th minute over Atlanta United 2 in a battle of two sides that are desperately looking to put a little streak together and potentially make a run at the 2019 USL Championship postseason. But we'll step aside and take a look at a memorable moment for Hartford Athletic fans.
This is huge. We're finally at home. It feels like our second home opener. We've been waiting for today forever.
The state of Connecticut and the city of Hartford has been waiting 3 decades for this. It's almost like I can't explain how it is. It's so surreal to actually be here in our own stadium for our own team.
Hartford is green and blue. Hartford is green and blue.
Oh, we have chants. We have drums, we have trumpets, we have noisemakers, we have everything. We are going to be loud.
Hartford is green and blue. Hartford is green and blue.
So we have a section over there. It's going to be loud. That's all I can say. About to go put up our flags, our banners, and we're going to be making a lot of noise.
Chance for Dixon! Is this the moment? Turns it, fires it, scores it!
Absolute packed stadium. Everyone was singing, everyone was dancing and chanting, and then we won the match. And I can't put it into words. I'm so excited.
This is Fortress Hartford. We don't plan on losing. We don't plan on losing on these grounds. It was amazing. We pushed these guys. 90 minutes, I had 100+ people up there screaming and chanting, and just, I can't help but feel that everybody in that section had something to do with the win tonight. This is an absolutely unreal, amazing experience to be at Dillon for this W. Unbelievable.
Awesome stuff from Hartford Athletic, able to get that inaugural win here at Dillon Stadium against Martin Rennie's Indy 11. Seems like eons ago, and they're trying to get another one right here at Dillon against Atlanta United 2. 1-0 lead thanks to Ryan Williams' goal in the 27th minute. We'll step aside yet again and check in with the USL Championship.
Obi charging on, curling the cross, that's excellent from Hartford.
Quickly to Watson. Watson gonna take a shot! Oh my!
That is sensational from the Irishman.
Plays it across, and finds the one-hit attempt.
Welcome into episode 13 of Steal Some Time. We are going to start over in the East and chat a little bit about North Carolina hosting the Pittsburgh Riverhounds this week. And I think that we can easily say that nobody saw a 5-0 outcome, at least in North Carolina's favor, coming out of week 24. But let me tell you, North Carolina stuck it to the Riverhounds, shut down that unbeaten streak that they had going. And really, I mean, they dominated play, outshot Pittsburgh 13-5, 8 shots on target as well, which is fantastic. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, didn't have a single shot on target, and I think that's obviously a major difference maker. North Carolina looked good, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, the same week Austin Deleuze announces his retirement, he then goes and dedicates a 5-0 win over Pittsburgh to the Oak City supporters.
So cool.
Definitely didn't play out how I thought it would.
Right.
And I think that I speak for the vast majority of fans around the championship who just kind of looked at that and said, what the heck's going on with Pittsburgh.
Elsewhere ahead in week 25. I don't know how much longer we can talk about Phoenix, but they're giving us no other choice. They're back for another dollar beer night, and this time they're hosting Sacramento. And I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say that this story's different. As good as Phoenix's backline has been, I think this is the biggest chance all season that Phoenix is going to have a run for their money on dollar beer night, going for 15 straight wins.
Are you calling I won't make you go out.
No, I'll call that. Yeah, I think this is it.
They're going to lose
I
or
do.
draw?
I think.
I was just going to let you say that the win streak is snapped.
I think the win streak
She's
is
visually
snapped.
hedging right now.
Yeah, I see the bullets, the little beads of sweat just starting to she can feel the heat here. She feels the pressure. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to call it. I think the L comes.
Well, Kelsey Steele didn't exactly get it right. And by that, I mean she got it wrong. Phoenix making 15 in her awesome stuff in the USL Championship. How about Wednesday night soccer this week? Doesn't exist because it's on Friday night. Louisville City, Indy 11. What a game that is going to be. Louisville actually just took down North Carolina FC by a score of 1-0 earlier today. And of course, Phoenix Rising, we mentioned it 2-1 over Sacramento. Just their third win against Sacramento. 15-game winning streak, the longest consecutive winning streak in the history of the modern era of United States soccer. New York Rebels 2, North Carolina. Both earn wins on Wednesday, but North Carolina, as we mentioned before, falling to Louisville Supporters Week, continues to roll on. Devin, thoughts on Phoenix's performance last night?
Impressive. One of the better ones we've seen recently, and what was more impressive to me was we talked about the integral pieces for Atlanta United too. So many on the field for Sacramento Republic. I have never seen a midfield from Sacramento Republic look that non-existent in a game in any match, yet alone versus a team as talented as Phoenix Rising.
Well, let's stop talking about the West. Let's talk about the East for a second. Tampa Bay Rowdies will play host to Memphis 901 FC. Nashville will welcome a struggling Charleston Battery. Swope Park Rangers will host New York Rebels 2. Bethlehem and Birmingham. This is an interesting one. We had a nice chat with Brendan Burke, and you seem to think that Bethlehem are probably going to go ahead and win this game, just given the fact that Birmingham have struggled mightily when away from BBVA.
I like their chances, especially because it's at home. There's been a lot more energy around Birmingham, and I respect their performances. Just feel like it's going to finally catch up with them after the last 5 matches. They'll get back on track. But for me, Indy 11 on a short week, you play on a Sunday, then got to turn around and play on a Friday, what that's going to be like.
Eastern Conference table, we already talked about it a little bit during the broadcast, but let's hone in a little bit more. Charleston Battery only 1 point above the Birmingham Legion, and then St. Louis FC, Charlotte Independence, Bethlehem sitting on 26, 25, and 23 points respectively. Devin, again, I ask you this question all the time. Is this the 10 that's in?
I do not think this is the 10 that's in. I told you, I think the Charleston Battery is going to be out. For me, the one that's going to be interesting is New York Red Bull 2. Yes, they're atop the East. There's 9 games to go. They play 7 of their final 9 games on the road, including today at Swope Park Rangers. What does this top 4 look like come 4 or 5 weeks from now? Because notoriously, they have not been good when they go on the road.
We'll step aside yet again when we come back. Stats and highlights from the first half, and of course, the conclusion of this one here at Dillon. Don't go anywhere.
Where some see a barber, I see a magician. I see Hugo, of Hair by Hugo. Wizard of whiskers. Sorcerer of scissors. Houdini of hair. Hugo is a small business owner. Me, I'm the Hartford Buck, and I see nothing small in small business.
The Hartford Small Business Insurance. The Buck's got your back.
Nick, we need a decision. These days, we all feel a little anxious sometimes. But if you could see inside my mind, you'd find I go to my happy place. See, if we let tensions run the show up here, then our bodies won't perform at their best out here.
Wait, are we going to the sound check?
Priorities. So I'm partnering with Cigna to remind you that how you're doing emotionally affects you physically. Go for your annual checkup and be open with your doctor about anything you're feeling, physically and emotionally. Body and mind. Cigna, together all the way.
Where some see a barber, I see a magician. I see Hugo, of Hair by Hugo. Wizard of whiskers. Sorcerer of scissors. Houdini of hair. Hugo is a small business owner. Me, I'm the Hartford Buck, and I see nothing small in small business.
The Hartford Small Business Insurance. The Buck's got your back.
Well, we'll take a look at how the first 45 minutes went down between Hartford and Atlanta United 2. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro and Devin Kerr. Early moments, Devin, not a ton of chances for either side. This one was always heading wide from George Bello.
This is where they're going to be at their best, though. Said when they start to pump numbers forward, you start to tuck inside, little rotation. 1-2 punch from George Bello, Luis Fernando, really well done. And the build-up play from Will Rowley, Kevin Kratz. Let's go the other direction. Dalgard gets involved. You'd have Hartford have 2-3 opportunities in this span of about 5 minutes. Another one is where they cut all the way back across to the left-hand side. They're going to the near post. Dalgard hits that gray area. Is he trying to place this to the back post? Is he waiting for someone to crash the party? Regardless, questionable save by Brendan Moore, spills it right down the middle.
And you had mentioned how Hartford needed to follow up shots because Brendan Moore spilled it. Nobody was there. How about this? Alex Dixon heard you from miles away, Devin, and it ends up being a penalty drawn. And Brendan Moore, you mentioned it. He has to punch this away if he can't catch it.
Yeah, and better safe than sorry in that situation. You'll see at the higher level, better goalkeepers, they're going to push it to the side. More importantly, they're going to punch it to the side, get it away from danger areas. They reward Ryan Williams. He puts it in. Brandon Vasquez got involved. You'd see Andrew Carlton have a strike that was pushed to the side. Great save by Cody Cropper. And last but not least, Jack Metcalf wrung the crossbar just at the tail end of the first half. A lot of good play on the offensive side for Atlanta United too. Keep an eye on their energy levels coming out of the dressing room.
Well, it's Hartford who has the 1-0 win heading in, or 1-0 lead, heading in to the second half. Devin, I ask you this question. Is there cause for concern for Jimmy Nielsen given how Atlanta United 2 was starting to settle in?
Yes. And the cause for concern is where everybody's responsibility lies on the defensive side of things. It's real easy to take a look at the likes of Sebastian Dalgard, Kyle Karinga, and say, okay, watch Jack Metcalf when he starts to play a higher line, because that's your responsibility. He steps right in front of you, and then you just pass him on. When those guys start to move around, Metcalf tucks in, overlapping runs by White. You see Andrew Carlton go play up top, and even George Bello getting really high. You start pushing numbers forward, 5, 6, 7, sometimes even 8 at a time when they're condensed into half field. Now you have to have really good communication for Hartford Athletic. That was lacking at the end of the first half.
Poor pass across the field from Andrew Carlton. Sebastian Dalgard now on the move. And he gets stripped by Lawrence White. And this is an Atlanta United 2 team that has won 2 out of their last 3. Throwing a 5-1 loss against the back-to-back champs in Louisville City FC, who are starting to gain some ground. And they might just hurl themselves into a top 4 spot before this is all said and done. Currently sitting in 7th on 42 points. As Alex Dixon waiting for some support. Ryan Williams now. He goes for the curler, and Brendan Moore was interested just for a moment, but can see that a play and a goal kick coming.
4 in a row now for the back-to-back champions, and trying to keep pace with Red Bull 2, as we mentioned. Only 1 loss in their previous 5. Ryan Williams wanted to fancy himself from distance this time around as opposed to the penalty mark. It's not a bad shout.
Fernando cutting it back. Here's Carlton, and he made an absolute mess of it. Terrific move from ATL UTD2, but Andrew Carlton is going to want this one back.
You can see the frustration on the youngster's face as this comes all the way back across. Just lean over the ball. Luis Fernando puts it on a silver platter for you. Put your head down, stick it on frame, and you are equalized.
Probably the best chance besides Jack Metcalf rocking the post tonight for Atlanta United 2. Good ball into Harry Swartz, lays it off. Dalgard on the first time, and some good football coming the other way from Hartford Athletic, and both sides starting to find a bit of space here at Dillon Stadium.
As things begin to open up here for Atlanta United 2, so they were so good at the end of the first half. There will be space in behind if Athletic wants to go quickly, exactly what you're seeing.
Barrera going for goal. Dalgard wants to bring it down. Carlton sliding it through. Great ball. Chance here for Atlanta United 2. Save from Cropper, and it's poked away. Cody Cropper once again coming to the rescue for Hartford Athletic. What a debut he's having. Expansive football from both sides right now. Williams going to put a foot on it. He's been dictating the tempo for Hartford Athletic. Well, Devin, you mentioned how Cody Cropper, for a brief point in time, was heir apparent, using your verbiage there, for the U.S. men's national team as Alex Dixon gets taken down in a set piece coming up. And a yellow card for Lawrence White as well. And you're starting to see not just glimpses, but you're starting to see the whole picture of why this guy was so highly touted.
He's a Georgia native who moved to Minnesota at just 12 years old, following his parents for business purposes, of course, at that time. Spent some time with Reading Rage and then went across the pond to Ipswich. Time with Southampton. Of course, sprinkled in with MK Dons, and it just goes to show you that there are some players just push it to another level. Cody Cropper, no exception. He's been called upon 3 or 4 times now, and every single one has been perfect technique, start to finish.
Mats Jorgensen on the set piece. This is a bit tighter of an angle to put it on frame. He's going to try it anyway. You have to imagine he's got the green light from Jimmy Nielsen at all times.
Why not? With the ones that you've already scored, and you can't even imagine what goes on in the training sessions. Just pounding ball after ball, sitting there half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour at a time. Grab a goalkeeper or two and one of your boys to shag balls.
Maybe that's why Frederick Dewey went over to Orange County. He was sick of taking set pieces from Mats Jorgensen in training. But now he has to face the wrath of Aiden Quinn, who's a bit more finesse rather than power. Does Orange County get into the postseason?
I have trouble talking about the West. It's a whole nother animal, to be honest. And I think a good representation of that was leading into the matchup last night for Sacramento Republic against Phoenix Rising. They could have, with a win, jumped into 4th, but with a loss and a San Antonio win today based on goal differential, they could have jumped into the 6th spot. Everything just so closely knit together.
Here's Vasquez. Finding some space at the edge of the area. Slip through. Carlton has it poked away and gets shielded off by Harry Swartz. Carlton able to help win it back for Atlanta United 2. Looking for an option and forced to switch the point of attack. Carlton, good ball over the top for Luis Fernando. He can't hang on to it though. Luis Fernando, of course, who spent some solid years with the Richmond Kickers. Very solid winger. It's the Hartford rendition of Ale Ale Ale.
$2 beers, that happens.
Gadula making the step out of the back for Hartford Athletic and able to win the foul.
He's another one who, so much talent coming out of the Wake Forest program gets drafted by FC Cincinnati, immediately sent on loan to Phoenix Rising. No appearances whatsoever. They send him back. Then he gets a chance to come for Hartford Athletic. They recall him. They bring him back here. That's really hard on a player's psyche.
Cropper gives it away. Good play from Kevin Kratz. Carlton now. And everything for Carlton this evening, and you could make the argument really in his young career thus far, 85 to 95% of what you see from him is brilliant. It's the final product, the final pass, the strike, whatever it might be, that's where it starts to get away from him. As Jorgensen quickly goes the other way for Harry Swartz, the Northeastern product, gets stood up. Racing back to go win the ball. Danny Pereira in for Jorgensen. That's a great pass, Matt Jorgensen, and he went for power and got it wrong.
When you start to wind up and go for power in situations like this, you're always going to be reaching for the ball. Keep an eye on his right foot. Big, long strides, wants to put so much behind it, and just enough as he swings with the right, just drifting back. Always going to be up over the top of the bar when you're executing in that manner. And there are certain things for Andrew Carlton when you track back, though. It's the ball that's knocked in to Luis Fernando. To be fair to him, the ball is perfectly weighted, hit in the right direction. Fernando should have bent his run the other direction, come on the outside of the defender. Not only do you turn him around, but then you can run onto it. But when the second one comes back around, when he then puts it up over the top of the goal, you don't see communication, you see bickering. And that's something that happens at a young age when maybe sometimes your talent gets out in front of you. You need to be able to communicate appropriately. And when things aren't going your way, have a conversation. Don't yell at each other. There's a time and place for that, and usually it's not in front of everybody else. That's a closed door conversation in the locker room. Instead, try and support each other and find a way that if things aren't working, okay, that's wrong here, I got that wrong, but let's do this next time instead. That's not what's playing out, though.
Here's Bello. Carlton was asking for the big switch. Won by Elliott Hort. Gadula goes to ground. It's clean, but it'll stay with Atlanta United 2. Vasquez, Fernando trying to go back for him. It'll fall for Carlton here. And it's the equalizer. Andrew Carlton thumps it home for Atlanta United 2. And we're all level here at Dillon Stadium.
There's the movement we talked about from Andrew Carlton. Notice how everything just seemingly stops on the back line for Hartford Athletic. Fixated on Brandon Vasquez and as to whether or not he was going to continue going forward. Thinking he's in an offside position, they might not be wrong, but here's the problem. Andrew Carlton is not. It's the second little flick right there. To be honest, I don't even think the first one is off. They're all stepping back, not enough movement. Logan Gadula can't close it down. And just watch Carlton. This is where you go for power. Just roof it on the near post. Goalkeeper has no chance whatsoever. And with everything that young man is capable, hard to believe that is his first goal for Atlanta United 2 in 2019.
And away we go from 1-1. Dalgar thought he could wiggle his way out of trouble, but Atlanta United 2 sealed the deal and seal off the avenue that Dalgar was trying to move through.
Remember in that game against Lou City, they fell behind. Now, it wasn't as close as this match, but they got their goal and they immediately went right back after it. Some great movement up top. They're gonna try and pump some numbers forward right now. Jackson Conway was the one who got that started for him. He's not in the lineup tonight, but plenty of bodies capable going forward for ATL UTD2.
Carlton really feeling it now, trying to thread the needle. It's a terrific ball. In for Vasquez. Oh, that is magnificent football from Atlanta United 2. 2 goals in a matter of minutes. And now it's Brandon Vasquez who gets in on it. Stephen Glass loves it. And the visitors ahead 2-1 over Hartford Athletic.
Coming from Carlton once again. Talked about the weighted ball earlier line. Watch this thing just seemingly stop just at the tail end of it. Outside rotation by Metcalf, who has been more defensive minded, but finally gets his body thrown forward. And how about his ability to stick this thing and just let it float midair, let Brandon Vasquez go up and get it and just redirect it to the far post.
And it's the talented youngsters who are stepping up for Atlanta United 2 here in Hartford, Connecticut. Brandon Vasquez getting in on the scoring. And we're going to have a substitution on the Atlanta United 2 side of things. That'll be Mikey Ambrose coming on. And he'll replace Kevin Kratz. Ambrose, who at times has been sort of that plug and play for Frank DeBoer on the left-hand side of things for Atlanta United, will come on and replace Kevin Kratz in the middle of the park here in the 61st minute.
Keep the work going!
Devin, was this a long time coming for Atlanta United 2?
I was quite surprised they didn't score earlier in the second half, to be honest, yet alone 2 in back-to-back fashion. We said that they had a lot to play for coming out of the dressing room. Was really impressed with the way that they finished the first half off, but the question was going to be, how would they respond given the downtime, conversations with the manager, and being stagnant? 15 minutes off can seem like an eternity at certain points in time, and that wasn't the case. They looked nice. They provided themselves some chances going forward. There was a big argumentative things going forward for the front 3 and 4. We addressed that with Andrew Carlton, but immediately you get back on the positive side of things. Not only does he get one, but then turns around on the distribution side of things and starts to repay the favors to all the other boys going forward. And now you just wonder, how many times has Hartford Athletic been in this situation? Team has an opportunity to not just grab one, but a few in the first half. They don't. They only get one. Their performance starts to falter a little bit, and what you tend to see is either a third one's going to come from Atlanta United 2, or eventually it's just going to stick at 2-1, and that's kind of been the way that their season has gone.
Ambrose having moved down to the right wing. He's got some serious chalk on his boots. He has not left. A right-hand touch line as Jorgensen wins it back. Here's Stephen Glass asking his side to really move forward and hunt the ball over the top for Vasquez. He'll take it on the first time, and a diving save from Cody Cropper. He keeps it a 1-goal game, and Brandon Vasquez starting to find some space.
I don't mind him hitting this either, and neither was Stephen Glass, nor will Frank DeBoer. Again, trying to get this kid back up to match fitness, and when you're feeling it, just let him go. On that left foot of his, far post, out spinning away from the goalkeeper. Gonna be a tough ask of Cody Cropper, but he was up to it.
Carlton working on Elliott Horde. Gets the delivery away, and it's off the crossbar, but it went out of play first.
My apologies to Luis Fernando and part of your soul that was just lost by Cody Cropper. Even goalkeepers can have a little fun. Who says they don't have technical ability?
Reaction, Mike! Right on, Mike!
65th minute, Atlanta United 2 used a quick barrage of attack in less than 120 seconds to take a 2-1 lead after Ryan Williams opened up the scoring from the penalty spot in the 27th minute. Here's Swartz on the other end. He goes for goal. Stuffed by Garrison Tubbs. Now Horde will loft it in. It's a teasing ball. Dixon rising for the header, loose in front, and eventually cleared away by the visitors. Carlton tried to help it along and put his side in a bit of hot water here, as Jorgensen couldn't quite connect with Ryan Williams, but Atlanta United 2 give it right back. Good stuff from Danny Barrera. Now it's in for Dixon. An important touch at the back from Atlanta United 2 again.
I was up in Buffalo in April for the first score.
Carlton lets the ball do the work. Plays it along for Fernando. Out to defend is Karinga. Did Fernando get taken down? Stephen Glass is looking for the call, but nothing from Lauren Varga.
Based on the way things have gone, I wouldn't expect much if I were Stephen Glass. And that final product that you talked about earlier, Andrew Carlton with a lot of time to make a decision. Unfortunately, takes him a bit too long. Play this ball a tad sooner. You could be up by 2.
Harry Swartz. Pereira lays it off. Ryan Williams now. Elliott Horde, former Sacramento man. Swartz still driving. Bello at his back. Vucic getting set to come on for Hartford Athletic. Williams thought about hitting it from distance. Now pushes it out wide for Horde, who has a bit more space. Fakes the first delivery. Now we'll send it in. Won by Tubbs. Patient here from Hartford. Barrera probing, looking for an option. Has to circle back around. Looks like Jose Angulo starting to get ready as well, so you can expect a double change from Jimmy Nielsen in the near future. Dizzying amount of passes put together by Hartford Athletic. Jorgensen finding Ryan Williams, a lot of space opening up. Williams still with it, out wide for Elliott Horde. He lashes it across, but it's well over the head of Sebastian Dalgard. And it feels like a bit of waste of possession considering how many passes they did string together. And it'll be Jose Angulo coming on and replacing Ryan Williams. And Vucic will come on and replace Kyle Karinga. Very offensive switches for Jimmy Nielsen as he's going to seriously roll the dice here in the 68th minute. Devin, a bit surprised by this move?
I'd already changed my board and everything of exactly where I thought everybody was going to go, and this is not what I saw coming. That's no disrespect to everybody coming on or coming off. They're definitely lacking a presence in the middle of the field. They'll pull Danny Barrera back a little bit now. Jose Angulo, you just wonder what kind of performance are you going to get out of him. Alex Dixon now goes over to the right-hand side. That'll put fresh legs and, more importantly, some height with the outlet passes they're looking for. As ATO UTD2 have started to play a higher line, the distribution that much more difficult, and they've had to bypass the middle a lot more. So you get two new looks in Barrera next to Jorgensen, and also Watch next to Angulo up top, hoping that one of them can find you an equalizer down the stretch.
Here comes Vasquez and rolls it into the hands of Cody Cropper. Here's Swartz. She gets a touch, but goes back to the feet of Jack Metcalf. Fans, Hartford Athletics' next home match is Saturday, September 7th at 4 p.m. This will be a charity match for gender equality and women's empowerment presented by Stanley Black & Decker. Single game tickets start at just $16. Get your tickets today at hartfordathletic.com. Call the Hartford Athletic ticket office or email tickets at hartfordathletic.com for more info.
One of the issues you run into in situations like this, and I'm not questioning the manager whatsoever, but for Jimmy Nielsen, you now move Alex Dixon out to the right side. Harry Swartz goes to right back. Elliot Hort to left back. Danny Barrera drops down into the middle, and you've got two attackers up top. It's a lot of rotation, and that's kind of the movement we talked about before, where when you move so many pieces, it's hard to maintain the relationships that already previously existed.
And you could see Stephen Glass and his assistant coach pointing to Luis Fernando saying, go down, go down.
See if we can get a better look at Fernando. Necessarily Law Knockworthy there. You can see he's put his hand up at the end of it, and trainer saying, no, I got this. Take your time. Enjoy the weather, the view.
Not a particular sunny day here in Hartford, Connecticut, but still bold of Stephen Glass nonetheless to go with the all black look here, especially considering its long sleeve.
I love long sleeves.
On a muggy New England night?
I live in Florida, man. Anything's better. From the muggy standpoint.
Yes.
Humidity and all that kind of stuff. Look at those eyes, determined to get back on and make an impact here down the stretch. Just inside 20 to go. Jose Hernandez sighting.
Jose Hernandez will come on here. One more substitute available for Stephen Glass. Hernandez from Caracas, Venezuela. He actually came on as a substitute for George Bello in his Atlanta United debut against Real Salt Lake back on September 22nd of 2018. Loan here to ATL UTD2 for the 2019 campaign. Hartford looking for the equalizer. Dalgard lays it off. Jorgensen. Atlanta United 2 know the scouting report. Didn't give him much room to breathe. Ball looped in and had a play.
Kind of a quick deep breath from every single person in the 19th Regiment when Jorgensen brings this ball up. Has that quick little look as he's stretching in the middle of the field now, always wanting to pull the trigger.
More quick off of his line as Tubbs felt like he took a rough knock in the back from Vucic.
The Jimmy Nielsen, I can't even. That's priceless.
I wonder if he would be able to recall that exact facial expression. Was he in goal for Sporting Kansas City? Was it in reaction to the Alex Davey red card a couple weeks ago? Who knows?
Realizing you and I are on the next game.
Well, we hear the deep sigh from him every time we're on the phone with him.
It's you again.
Ruffin was claiming that should have been offside, but no sympathy from the assistant referee.
Look after it again! Look after it! Look after it!
Riley. Garrison Tubbs, who's shown particularly well tonight. Brendan Moore lets it run. Tubbs calm and cool in that situation. United 2 doing a good job here of just trying to kill off the game, taking the air out of it, making Hartford Athletic work. Ball over the top, Vasquez onside. Brandon Vasquez sends it into the next county.
Watch this kid's first touch. I mean, his ability to bring this ball down out of the sky and put it right in front of him just to give him a chance to have a strike is beyond beautiful.
Think along for Vucic. Now it's Jose Angulo. What does a veteran have in store? Gets it back on his right. Now puts it across. Open header at the back post. And the equalizer for Hartford Athletic. Beautifully set up by Jose Angulo. And it's Vucic who finishes it off. It's the substitute connection here in the 77th minute. 2-2 at Dillon.
Always wonder what you're going to get when the Jose Angulo show comes to town. Jimmy Nielsen has used him in a variety of roles. This time gets an opportunity coming out from the center of the park all the way to the near touchline. Little one-on-one situation. Embarrasses Garrison Tubbs, just pulls it back across his body. Vucic laying on the back post the entire time. The marking, Mikey Ambrose does not tuck himself in. Hartford Athletic have been patient the entire second half. Not a lot of momentum, but finally get it to even Stevens.
Well, the roll the dice pays off for Jimmy Nielsen, at least for the time being, after bringing on Vucic as well as Jose Angulo and having all of those pieces rotate throughout the field. A number of players playing a position that they didn't necessarily start the game out in. And now it's 2-2, and plenty of time for either side to go ahead and get the game winner. Now where do we go from here? Had 2 equalizers, a couple of lead changes. Good step at the back. It's going to be a foul called against Andrew Carlton to go straight to Lauren Varga. It's a good look from behind in the supporters group. Everything just starting to line itself up for this hometown squad. Atlanta United too had really taken the reins on this game, and quality goals, back-to-back minutes. Now what is it going to look like as Inveni Kanakamana will come on for Lawrence White? You talked about an offensive substitution earlier. On an absolute tear in recent weeks. In towards Dixon, a good ball across. And the go-ahead goal is beckoning for Hartford Athletic. Alex Dixon did incredibly well to get that back across the face of goal. Vucic coming on was going to give you that look. They've really been lacking the distribution coming out of the back on the hold-up play, but now they're going after it from Vucic's standpoint. Andrew Carlton feels like he's got one more in him. That could be a card. And it looks like it will be. Elliot Horde who's shown the yellow card. Andrew Carlton and Mats Jorgensen going at it a little bit. And now Metcalf going toe-to-toe with Jorgensen. That's a hard foul to give up, but reaching the entire time. Carlton running downhill. The composition wasn't exactly there for Hartford Athletic, and defensively now a chance to reset yourself, albeit from a set-piece opportunity. So Danny Barrera goes into the book, shown mustard here in the 81st. Set piece opportunity here for ATL UTD2 as the sun starts to set on the 90 minutes at Dillon Stadium on a spectacular Saturday evening. And boy, have we seen some good football. Keep an eye on Vasquez. He's stuck in between the corner of the 18 and the circle. He's the big frame they're going to look to go after. Carlton wants to go for a goal, and Cropper says, thank you very much, we'll go the other way.
You're going to hit it from this distance, you got to put some sort of power behind it. Yeah, you want movement on the ball, but when you're lined up this square to it, you're never going to generate enough momentum to go after the goalkeeper, especially not when it's Cody Cropper and the kind of night that he's having.
And look who's coming on for Hartford Athletic, Giuseppe Gentile. After all the weeks missed due to a concussion, comes onto the scene here in the 82nd minute, replacing Alex Dixon. I feel like one of the last times that we saw Giuseppe was in that 2-1 win over New York Cosmos B in the US Open Cup. One back by Hartford. Pereira gets the slightest of touches to it. And the boys in green will go again. Dalgard cutting inside. Sebastian Dalgard was going for it all. Danny Pereira slow to get to his feet, but Hartford Athletic have renewed life after the equalizer from Vucic just a few moments ago.
Danny Barrera and Garrison Tubbs just get tangled up here as this ball comes back out. The center back makes a mistake, not once, but twice. The second one, Barrera able to get the best of him. That makes its way all the way to the far side, and now Garrison Tubbs still down. No changes left for Stephen Glass. Just outside of about 5 minutes to go. Look at the eyes on Dalgard, frustrated with himself. Felt like he should have done better. He's probably not wrong.
Well, we mentioned Giuseppe Gentile and how long he's missed. His last league game was May 19th. And just before that was the 2-1 win over New York Cosmos B on May 15th. And And that May 19th game was one of the 2 wins for Hartford Athletic on the season, a 2-1 decision against Loudoun United.
Jimmy with a little pullback on the water bottle. Well done, sir. There's a good look a second ago by Garrison Tubbs to the sideline, just short of shaking his head off. And you hate to say it, but if you're a Hartford Athletic player, you need to recognize your surroundings and figure out the chance that maybe there's a wounded warrior on that back line and go after him.
Pereira did really well there. Harry Swartz, can he keep it in play? The answer is no. Jimmy Nielsen in a full defensive stance, trying to get his team back into position. One back by Jorgensen. Andrew Carlton yanking on the Dane. Jorgensen not happy about it, not the second time that these two have gone tete-a-tete. Carlton will go into the book, and it's going to be a straight red for Carlton. And Carlton still going after it. Mads Jorgensen continues to be the instigator, and Andrew Carlton, who was playing so well in the second half, scored the equalizing goal for Atlanta United 2. Now puts his side in a tough spot, gets sent off, and it'll be Hartford Athletic a man up for the final 5 minutes or so.
Not everybody's going to agree with this red card. Regardless, you can't put yourself in this situation. Everything is right in front of the referee. The initial foul, yes, it's going to be a yellow. That's fine. Grab the ball, a bit of theatrics, okay, but move on from it. The challenge on Jorgensen, it's done with right now. You continue to walk away. These two were barking at each other earlier, and it's continued on. You don't double back, and you sure as heck don't do it right in front of the referee. There's obviously some verbiage used, and Varga did not like as he talked himself into it. Head to the showers early. Now Hartford Athletic with a real chance to steal 3 points.
Order restored, at least for the moment. Pereira on the free kick, lofts it in, looking for Vucic. He'll be offside. And that'll be brought back.
Don't just agree, say something. Yeah, I said you were going to talk to him half hour, but you said fuck all to him. No, I didn't. I bet you said nothing to him. No, I absolutely did. He's going to fucking destroy us all night. Referee! Red! On the advantage go! Keep it cool, guys. Keep it cool. Keep it cool.
Flicked along. Kanakaman on the other end. Hernandez pulls it back. And cleared away by Harry Swartz. Vucic trying to cushion it down. Gentile gets tangled up with Riley. Plenty of bodies hitting the deck, and now Vucic is going to switch the point of attack. A lot of numbers forward here for Hartford Athletic. Slip ball through, cut out just at the last moment. They were looking for Gentile, who had made a darting run out of the midfield. And this is wide open in the final moments. Kanakamana ridding Harry Swartz. And look at Atlanta United 2 on the other end. Bienveni Kanakamana. Trying to send it across, shout for a handball, not given. Dalgard. Long for Elliot Horde now. Angulo right in front of the 19th Regiment. Gentile. Still with it, now goes for goal, not a bad effort. What a story that would have been. First game in over 3 months for Giuseppe Gentile. And at least making Brendan Moore think about it. Mikey Ambrose unable to get there. Good play from Logan Gadula. Goes back for the Wake Forest product. Oh, 89th minute. Barrera. Swartz in support. Ball dinked in, Vucic the header, and it's in for Hartford Athletic. Vucic comes off the bench, scores a boisterous brace, and Hartford Athletic might have just stolen it at the death. The back line of Atlanta United 2 stretched very thin. Garrison Tubbs struggling on the left side, and the run starts on the far post, but is always going to end up right at the top of the 6. Similar to the movement we've seen from Vucic coming on as a substitute. Look at the rotation. Lovely ball lifted in, and all he has to do is just get a little touch. Put it up over the goalkeeper. Brendan Moore sitting on the near post where he's supposed to be, cannot react in time. And that belief and energy that we talked about for Hartford Athletic after getting their first goal has now turned into 3, and most assuredly 3 points. We'll have 5 minutes of stoppage time after the Vucic go-ahead goal.
Hartford goal! From Horn in the 89th minute.
And now the red card from Andrew Carlton has all sorts of question marks around it. And how about Jimmy Nielsen with the double switch of the century, bringing on Angulo and Vucic down a goal in the final 15 minutes. Angulo with an assist, Vucic with a brace, and now they lead 3-2. Angulo slips, he wanted a handball. Still with it, somehow the Colombian gets out of tight quarters.
Just keep it here. Don't have to be crazy. You finally got your lead, you're out in front. Just outside of 3 minutes to go. Maintain possession, make the other team chase. And the horizontal movement is not going to bother the White Puma whatsoever at this point in time. The shift having to be put in general, yet alone down to 10 men. Atlanta United 2 are going to have to chase a bit further if they will have any sort of chance to get back into this. But really well done by all the boys in the green shirts to just keep the ball moving.
A little north of 4,800 in attendance for what would be one of the marquee moments for Hartford Athletic in their brief history at Dillon Stadium. Sem David in for Gentile. Barrera dragging it to the corner. Looks like he kept it in play and won a corner for Hartford Athletic as well. Cramping a little bit there. Don't blame him given the amount of ground that he's covered tonight.
And plus at the tail end of this, when your body's so tired, you tend to overextend yourself and you push your muscles that much harder. That's when those little knots start to creep in.
Vucic was running away from Gentile and he said, come back, I need an option. Once Atlanta United 2 went up 2-1. See this coming?
Never. Game, set, match. To be fair, if you take a look at the historical results for Hartford Athletic, they've faded away. Very rarely have they come back to win a game like this. And it's usually, to be honest, a team out in front by 1 or 2. Maybe there's a response and then the visitors take off once again. That's not the case tonight. And this all goes back to when you listen to Jimmy Nielsen speak, it's not just the belief that he has, but the entire coaching staff, all of his players. Many a circumstance in a negative fashion have come back to haunt this team. Not the case tonight. They did not put their heads down or wither away into the night. Not the best run of form after going down 2-1, but they found a way to stay strong, to band together, and more importantly, find 2 goals down the stretch.
And now they're just killing off the game. Atlanta United 2 down to 10 men after Andrew Carlton got sent off. And we're almost through the 5 minutes of stoppage time as well. Ruthven just muscles it the other way. Strong header from Harry Swartz, cleared away by Mats Jorgensen. And that's going to do it. Hartford Athletic with one of the most dramatic wins in their brief history. Vucic comes off of the bench and bursts onto the scene. When he came onto the field, Hartford Athletic trailed by a score of 2-1. The game finishes 3-2. Vucic finishes with a brace. He is most certainly and most definitively your Cigna man of the match. Jose Angulo was part of that double switch. He assisted on the opening goal from Vucic, made it 2-2. Andrew Carlton gets sent off in the final 5 minutes of the match. Vucic then latches onto yet another headed goal after the initial one that was delivered by Jose Angulo. Unbelievable night here at Dillon Stadium. And we'll take a look at the innovative player of the game, brought to you by Stanley Black & Decker. And it was this equalizer coming by the way of Jose Angulo, finished off by Vucic.
How impressive is the ball put in. The calmness of him overall and his play to just loft this to the back post. That's the striking partnership Jimmy Nielsen's been looking for all season long. Lovely to see it down the stretch, but this team needed it. After the downfall against the Charleston Battery, then the win on the road at Bethlehem Steel, back-to-back games where they ran into red cards, but started the game off quite nicely. Really impressive to see them come from behind against a very talented Atlanta United 2 squad. And especially when you get the output from your substitutes. The philosophical changes for Jimmy Nielsen aren't always in full effect because of the lack of personnel, but tonight they were in full force, and they came from Angulo and Vucic, and they get their 3 points that have been long awaiting them.
19 points on the season, 5 wins, and Atlanta United 2 seed this one to the home side. Vucic with an incredible performance off of the bench. We'll step aside and put a bow on it when we come back. The celebrations continue here at Dillon Stadium. And what a fitting song to end just an unbelievable night. Hartford Athletic did not stop believing in the fact that they could win this game against an Atlanta United 2 side that had an equal amount of heart, but due to some disciplinary issues down the stretch, it was Hartford Athletic who came away with a 3-2 win. We'll take a look at how it all went down. Here's the opening start to the 5 goals. Dixon taken down, Ryan Williams would then bury it from the spot.
This goes down in the 25th minute. We just said that Alex Dixon needed to find a way, and the other strikers up top to follow up their shots. 27th minute, Ryan Williams from the spot, left side, 1-0 Hartford Athletic. They wouldn't stop there. They would continue going forth. Unfortunately, they couldn't close out any of their chances. You saw the visitors really start to get into the match towards the end of the first half. They would come out with a massive amount of energy to start the second. 57th minute, Andrew Carlton, little back heel by Brandon Vasquez. The entire back line just stopped for Hartford Athletic. 2 minutes later, let's go back to back. Those two are going to combine again. It starts from Andrew Carlton. Long ball coming out of the back that dissects everybody. And look at this thing just stop for Jack Metcalf to put it up in the air. Really similar to the Vucic goal. More importantly, Brandon Vasquez gets back on the score sheet, 2-1 Atlanta United 2.
Metcalf loses the captain's armband along the way, but able to find Brandon Vasquez, and it looked bleak for Hartford Athletic at this point. And Atlanta United 2 wouldn't stop after that goal. They would then start to continue to go at Hartford Athletic, but then enter Jose Angulo and Vucic, and Angulo. Everybody in the stadium thought he was going to pull it on his left, brings it back to his right. Easy enough for Vucic, 2-2.
This is really well done, and we've seen some quality distribution from him on the left-hand side, but now rotates over to the right, finds the big guy on the back post. Atlanta United 2 would get themselves in more trouble, though. After the 77th minute goal by Vucic, Andrew Carlton would get himself in trouble right here, tracking back. Okay, it's a yellow card. It's not a mistake. It's a professional foul. He's trying to stop, let go, walk away. You're done with it. He continues to go. There's a little nudge, and he talks himself into it with Laurent Varga. He's sent to the showers early. They go down to 10 men. 89th minute. Could there be a winner? Absolutely. Watch this little cutback again. You go the aerial route. You knock it to Vucic. Quick little flick to the back post. 3 goals, 3 points. Hartford Athletic, for just the 5th time this year, can taste victory.
Unbelievable performance from Vucic coming off of the bench. And again, just has to be said, the double change of the season from Jimmy Nielsen bringing on Angulo and Vucic. Atlanta United 2, you thought that they might still have an outside shot at throwing their name into the hat for the playoff picture. That starts to dwindle with a loss here tonight. Meanwhile, Hartford Athletic 5-17-4 on the season now, as they are able to come away as victors by a score of 3-2. Well, it was a night filled with equalizers, lead changes, red cards, and spectacular goals. But in the end, Hartford Athletic come away victors by a score of 3-2. Atlanta United 2 fought hard, but in the end, it was disciplinary issues and just an insane amount of fight from Jimmy Nielsen's group for our entire crew and Devin Kerr. Tyler Terrence saying so long for now, and thanks for tuning in.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.